So we're actually ready to go.
With that, then, it's time to move on to what we've all been waiting for. The top 6 startups were all set to make their presentations. Let me welcome the first one, Expertia AI. Now, Expertia AI is bringing hiring and recruitment into the tech age with an app that allows businesses to find the right candidates for the right jobs at the right price. So please welcome on stage our first startup this evening, Team Expertia AI.
Thank you for giving us the opportunity to be present here. We are Expertia AI, the AI-powered unlimited hiring platform. Quick round of introductions. On my left is my co-founder and CTO, Akshay Gugnani. Akshay was doing his PhD in machine learning when we first met him. He's an AI researcher from IBM. He has also done quite a lot of research in skill extraction and career path progression. I, on the other hand, have been a serial entrepreneur myself. I co-founded and exited Hooves.com, which was a fashion e-commerce vertical, after listing it on AIM, part of London Stock Exchange. Akshay and I met at the online cohort run by Entrepreneur First, and that is where we started discussing the first principles which plague the HR industry. We wondered why the cost of hiring cannot be zero. We wondered why time to hire cannot be real time, and why the legacy platforms like the job boards don't align with the interests of the users. I mean, they make more money by selling the leads and the ads to you, and they make more revenue if you get it more wrong than right at times. And that is how Expertia AI Recruiter was born. It's an Alexa-like hiring co-pilot app for you. It automates sourcing, screening, ranking, assessments, interviews to give you the top 10 candidates within 24 hours and at 10% of the cost. For every job that is posted on Expertia AI, there is a generative AI which creates personalized job descriptions. It then publishes that on 35 job boards. It also fetches passive profiles from your internal talent pools. It screens and ranks these applications in real time to finally deliver the top 10 candidates that I just mentioned. We used the first half of the last year primarily to build a prototype. And this was done primarily to mine the data that would help train the model. We monetized our platform earlier this year, and we are on track to do 1 million in revenue by the end of this year. The trends that we see, the number of applications that we've received in the very short term on Expertia, allows us to claim that we'll be very soon the number 3 platform for candidate engagement in India.
So let's talk about the interview aspect of it, right? One of the moonshot projects Expertia is working on is the ambitious goal of Expertia being able to conduct deep dive comprehensive technical interviews on behalf of the recruiter. Steps towards that is 1, we build an assistant which is capable of engaging in the interviews, making notes, making summaries, giving pointers over there, right questions to ask. The next is a screener that would be able to conduct a background check of the candidate, analyze them, assess them. And third, a quick demonstration of a recruiter which can engage with the candidate, validate his skill, and evaluate the backgrounds.
Great, thank you so much for that, and all the very best to you. Well, what did our 5 jury members, potential investors, think of that?
How do you measure intent? Because I think a lot of job platforms are not successful because they don't know the current intent of the candidate, right? It is not about whether I intend to change, but I think it is more about really knowing at this point of time, am I looking for a career change? How do you measure that? And I think that becomes the most critical part for hiring software.
Without a doubt. So that's part of our secret sauce. Without going too much into it, what we do is, when we have this much of data, we basically represent every professional globally as a vector. And we see how the vectors are changing over a period of time. What that basically means is, suddenly if you start posting too much on LinkedIn, suddenly you start updating your GitHub more often than not, suddenly your posts on your blogs increase, Expertia is able to detect a change in trend of your behavior in your professional career. In addition to that, because we have so many data points, we know for a fact how people progress in their careers. As much as we would want to think about it, we're not distinct in how we make choices. After every 2 years as Accenture, a person may choose to join a different company or may decide to go for their higher studies or UPSC or something. Those trends are very visible in the data. So we leverage both those vector representation and statistical data to predict whether you would be leaving an opportunity and looking for an opportunity today or not.
Bhavik?
What markets do you want to go? Do you want to go to the Western markets? Do you want to go to the US and the UK? Or are you looking at Southeast Asia? What's going to be focused? I know global is where you want to play, but what's going to be the first focus area, first markets?
So based on the data that is available on the platform, and we don't market ourselves, so we have not spent $1 on marketing so far. We leave the platform free and the word of mouth spreads. So naturally we see a lot of traction coming in from the Middle East countries and Southeast Asian markets. So we'll naturally first go to Middle East, Southeast Asia, and then to US, which seems to be the most expensive market for us to try out.
So we've had some very interesting rounds of back and forth Q&A, a lot of interesting questions. We are now looking at $5 million for growth. So which one of you is going to bite?
So we would love to actually do at least $2 million in this round. Of course, pending DD, speaking to your investors, going a little more in detail. We've done Darwin-Box and HRMS. We have a strong thesis there. And I think the US go-to-market, where the average contract values are much larger, it's actually a very intriguing proposition from our side.
Right, so Expertia's ask was 5 million, out of which they've closed how much?
2 million.
2 million. Dr. Sharma?
20% of round size.
Okay, which is around
1 million.
1 million. Okay, so
Yeah, and we'll be interested to help them also further.
great.
Fantastic. So you've got 2 yeses. I'm coming in as the third one as well. We'll come to about $250,000, so 250K, and we'll try and make this non-dilutive and a revenue base to help you grow your revenues.
Okay, so that's 3.25 that you've closed out of the 5 million you were seeking to raise, which is a very good outcome. The first pitch, and you have 3 amazing investors on your cap table. A huge round of applause for closing that deal.
Thank you so
Way
much.
to go.
Best out of
Shanti?
us.
Yeah, so we are already working with them. We've told
Yes.
them that we are happy to offer it to our portfolio companies and to Let's Venture for the hiring.
You're getting capital and business at the same time.
4 investors and 1 mentor.
we have
That's all
9
yes.
Yeah, we have 900 portfolio
This is
companies.
a great outcome. So then, without further ado, I have this very impressive folder with me, where the 3 of you can come up and sign.
And Shanti, she's actually the first one that has said yes to you.
So can I invite Dr. Sharma, Shanti, Bhavik and Siddharth to come up, please? Lot of action happening here, but let's slip into a quick break again. More coming up on the other side of Leap to Unicorn.